Actually, Jay and I had a lot of fun one summer with Dan Schechter.
Oh yeah, I just saw Dan like 3 weeks ago. Dan,
how's he doing?
He's doing great. He just directed a new movie with Justin Long. He's doing fantastic. We hung out in the city. He's a good dude.
That's great, man. I love Dan. Dan Schechter wrote a movie called Goodbye Baby back, and he auditioned comics at Dangerfield.
Yes.
Because it was about a girl from Long Island who was going to go into the city and be a comic. And Christina Evangelista played the lead.
I can't believe you remember that. Actually, no, I do believe you remember that.
And she, so he needed someone to write material for her because it was a real movie. It was some cast.
Yeah, we had Fred Armisen was in that.
Yeah.
Donnell Rawlings was in that.
Yeah, and some big actors too. I mean, really big. Like Christina was a big actress, and so he went to Dangerfields and watched these acts. I was away and couldn't be there to audition, and Jay was the one guy he wanted to write this, and Jay was so great. You got to get Richie Byrne, and he goes, no, I want you, and Jay goes, no, you got to get Richie Byrne. And then the guy watched my tape. Dan watched my tape, and he said, no, this guy writes too much personal. And Jay said, you really need Richie Byrne. And they ended up hiring both of us.
Yeah, it was a fun summer.
And the three of us spent the whole summer writing material for different comics in the movie. Yeah. And the three of us would go around to the Cellar and wherever, Stand Up New York, and so we could show. He had a good feel for it then, and I thought he did a tremendous job with this movie. It's a shame the movie wasn't bigger. It was such a good movie. He wrote it, and it was the first movie he directed.
I think he just missed out on like the whole the whole Mark Maron, like the other side of comedy, like what that's like. He missed that by like 3 years.
Yeah, he did.
It was a little bit ahead of its time,
and I think ahead of its time. Yeah.
If it came out now, I think there's probably a real market for like what it would be like to be a young woman starting out in the city.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
A couple of things out of that story. Number one, Richie, I like to think of you and me as the Barry Sobel of 2006. Because as you know, Barry Sobel wrote all the material for Punchline.
Yes. And played he did. Yeah. And the funny thing is that he put us in the movie.
Yeah, just like Barry Sobel. We were Barry Sobel.
And we had to do a day of shoots in front of extras at a fake comedy club, and everybody had to get up and do time, and I ended up having to warm up the whole thing. I did the whole. Do you remember that, Jay? I do. And that was
where you got your start.
The first warm up I ever did. I had to warm up these extras, and they were hysterical because they would laugh really hard when they knew the camera was rolling, but they knew the camera wasn't rolling when I was on. So
save my energy.
They'd lose their energy, but then he ended up using me in it anyway, which I thought was funny. And we had a great, and there was a scene where Fred Armisen wanted, I shouldn't tell this story because it's long, and I think I told him before, but Fred felt his character wouldn't be at the table when, whoever it was giving her a hard time because Fred felt there was another scene.
Sal the stockbroker.
Sal Governale, right? Yeah. And Sal was great. Sal was great in that. And Fred talked his way out of the scene because he felt his character wouldn't sit there and listen to them make fun of her.
His character disliked us as much as he did, apparently.
And Dan came over to me and he said, "What do I do here? He doesn't want to be in the scene." And I go, "He's right." I said, "He's right. He wouldn't sit there and let us make fun of Sal make fun of her that way." So he got out of the scene. And the next day, Fred came up to me and he goes, "Hey, man, I didn't mean to be like a pain in the ass last night. I wasn't trying to be a pain in the ass." And I go, "Dude, you're the first actor I ever saw who talked himself out of a movie."
Right, exactly. Yeah. He wanted I always say you could tell a pro comic from an amateur comic because amateur comics always ask for more time. Pro comics always ask for less time.
That's great. That's a great point. You're right.
Oh, you want me to do 38? Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, no problem. That's whereas there's features like I could do 50 if you need it.
Yeah.
By the way, the other thing that I remember about that is that Dangerfields in 2006 is exactly like Dangerfields today. And what I mean is during the coronavirus. There's no difference of a shutdown Dangerfields with coronavirus.
I thought you were going to say it's still the same as in the Joker.
Yeah.
Everything's from like the early.
That's Dangerfield.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Imagine you're scouting a comedy club and you need to have something that takes the feeling of decadent 1970s end of the road New York, and they go Dangerfield's perfect. You need to change it at
No
all.
set design here.
Yeah, we don't even set designer. Just leave it. Stay at home. We got it. This is perfect as is.
I had a problem with that scene in the Joker too. I thought that they would never put the guy on the show the next day and all that. That was a bit much.
Well, I think that's why it might be in his head, Richie. Because the other thing is, this is 1980. Who has recording equipment in 1980 that he was filmed? Was it like some guy with a giant setup?
It's funny you say that because I thought, oh, this whole thing's in his head.
Yeah.
And then I thought, oh, wait, that got really serious there with the but I don't know. I don't want to give away the movie.
Here's all I'm going to say.
What are you laughing at, Riccadonna?
I love that Jay just brought up like the plot of the movie, and Richie's like, "Yeah, I was kind of thinking that."
Oh, bro, I was totally thinking that, bro.
Bro, I totally thought they were dead after I watched the movie.
I thought it was a Jacob's Ladder, bro. You could totally know.
Jacob. Oh, guys, are we going to reference any movies from the 21st century? Jesus Christ. Jacob.